Welcome back. I'm Adrienne, your expert on all things custom home building and luxury. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend how much fun we have on the Frazier Homes channel. So now we are at a selections appointment, okay? And so you are educating us on different materials. So, flooring, for example. I know that you have talked to us about the Anderson Tough Tuck in the past, and you've talked to us about actual through and through hardwood flooring. But I think you have some samples over here. Talk to us about the price difference, the wear difference, why you might choose it in one level or a different level. We're really interested in getting into the details.
Yeah. So, when it comes to, let's say flooring, for example, so I know Adrienne mentioned earlier, kind of wanting to know specifically what can go into your home. So if you're wanting a lighter floor or a darker floor, typically if you're wanting to go with a lighter floor, we will use a white oak material, and for a darker floor, a red oak material. Now, that also kind of ties in with your allowance for flooring because white oak can be a little bit more expensive than red oak oftentimes. So my samples are a little varied right now, but but it kind of just goes to show that certain materials can impact the certain look of your home, and then that also will impact the budget. So there's definitely a lot of things to think about when it comes to, your selections and the different finishes and materials that you want into your home. If you're wanting to be a little bit more price conscious with flooring, then a red oak floor is definitely more of the way to go. But then, if you're just wanting the look and you're not really caring about the price, then if you're wanting a lighter floor, then white oak would be the way to go. So it kind of just factors into what your end goal is, and just kind of the overall look of your home that you're wanting.
So that's a really good point that so white oak versus red oak. So red oak has a very particular color. It's got more of a red color. So in general, if you want to stain your flooring, you're going to go with a white oak because you've decided red's not for me and the white oak is not for me. I want something more varied. Well, now you've got the white oak material that is more pricier, but then you also have the labor cost of staining, and then you have the material cost for the stain. And so all of those, just those, that's this is one detail that we're talking about in your home. And remember, we said we've got at least 20, at least 20 selection choices that we have to make. And so when you're thinking about that, all of those details, those drive up the cost. It takes additional time and additional labor, and the scope, understanding that scope is very important because we want to make sure that we get the right stain. Could you imagine if we stained an entire floor and you're like, this is not at all what I wanted? And so Sammy has to work very hard to capture all of those details. And oftentimes, when you are working with the production and semi-custom, they're not getting into those details. So you have the questions. Why is Frazier's process so much more laborious than Builder X? And it's because we are in the weeds. We are getting into the details. So, Sammy, are there any other examples that you have about selections that you can see how it's kind of like an unraveling? You pull this lever, and then the next thing happens.
Well, one other thing that kind of comes to mind would be exterior stone or even any interior stone or material. So when it comes to stone, there's a couple of different thicknesses that you can get. So you can get full depth or you can get a thin cut stone. So it might seem like it's just kind of a, oh, whatever is less expensive, or kind of whatever would look best. That kind of plays into a lot of different other factors in the building process. So, for example, with stone, if you go with a full depth stone instead of a thin cut stone, well, then the foundation wall has to be poured, at a normal height, and you just kind of stack the stone on top of it. But if you go with a thin set stone, then the foundation wall has to be poured higher to be able to put the stone on, attach it on the front of the foundation. So it's kind of decisions like that where it affects even the beginning stages of a home. So that's why, with selections process, we start earlier than one might think we do, just so then that way, if you want a specific kind of stone, we know that we need to pour the foundation a certain way and have it framed a certain way to be able to, accommodate that type of stone. So that's just one example of, one of the many selections that directly impact different stages of the process instead of just that one. And, all the things to kind of consider and, make that decision based off of.
I'm really glad you said that because just think about that. So now, just based off of the stone you choose, it has a direct impact on how the foundation is poured. And that means that is more material. That's more labor. So oftentimes homeowners don't understand. They're like, hey, why is my foundation cost so much more? Well, it is because of the stone that you picked. And so we're trying very hard in these series, we're trying very hard to educate everyone and over communicate with everyone and really explain what is going on, because when you don't have that frame of reference, it just feels like that it feels icky, if I can use that word. Just when I don't understand, why is my foundation so much more, and now you know. And so we are going to pause, and we're going to take a break. Sammi is going to come back and talk to us. She's going to show us some of the selections so you all can actually see on screen, and we'll ask her some more questions. But the bottom line is, if you don't know the difference, this is the place to learn the difference.